It's the year 2030 and Nishino Mizuho is having the worst birthday of her life when she receives an email from her boss. The message asks her to finish a project by the year's end, which leads her to reflect on her own past. She sees some high school students nearby and she's reminded of her own high school years, realizing that at that time she didn't fully appreciate how bright and wonderful her youthful experiences were. The scene then throws back to July 1st, 2020, when the world is experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic and a news broadcast announces that it's officially summer and talks about the hot summer temperatures. Mizuho's father prepares a lunch for her and goes to deliver it, only to find a topless boy, Kizuki, in her room. Kizuki and Mizuho are sleeping together on the floor, and although Mizuho reassures her father that Kizuki is just a little brother and is topless because she asked him to pose for her manga drawing, her father expresses concern about them staying up late together and sleeping together like kids. Kizuki leaves and thanks Mizuho's father for letting him stay over, and Mizuho's father jokes around that he would love to hear that from him yesterday rather than that morning. Mizuho then realizes that her father seems to have forgotten that it's her birthday. Then she shares that she has grown up with 4 childhood friends in her residential neighborhood in Koigahama Highland, and they have known each other for over 10 years. Mizuho is now heading to school and greets her 4 childhood friends who are waiting for her outside their house. One teases her for being late, but Mizuho responds that getting ready takes time. Having grown up together, she reflects on the deep bond they share. They can't keep secrets from each other and are so close that they're practically like siblings. They are now in their 2nd year of high school. At the station, one of Mizuho's friends, Shubo, jokes about her not wearing makeup and teases her about hiding behind her in her glasses. Another friend, Eru, agrees and suggests she should put more effort into her appearance. Mizuho playfully ignores their comments. Shubo guesses she stayed up late working on her manga, which Mizuho admits is true. The last friend, Shin, who is the bookworm in the group, suggests differently and encourages her to focus on studying instead so that Mizuho won't come to him when they have exams. Retorting his words, Mizuho said that there are more important things in life than academics like love and friendship. On the train, Mizuho's friends continue their usual teasing. Shugo and Shin are focused on encouraging Mizuho to study. But Mizuho notices Kizuki's backpack is open and points it out, thinking that despite his tall height, he's still the youngest in their group. Later, the group asks Kizuki about his upcoming swimming practice, and Eru teases Mizuho, suggesting she'll be watching Saito practice. Mizuho chases after him, not understanding the joke, while Shubo comments on their lively energy in the morning. After school, Mizuho is disappointed to have cleaning duty, and she seems too late to watch the swimming practice because a lot of girls are already there. A lot of girls are cheering and excited to see Kizuki when one accidentally bumps her face, resulting in her glasses falling and breaking. Mizuho then overhears that Saito is absent and that there are rumors of him quitting the team due to the cancellation of national competitions. Feeling disappointed, Mizuho walks home alone, but she unexpectedly bumps into Saito. Mizuho calls him and Saito recognizes her. They sit together at the bus stop and Saito shares his frustration about everything being canceled, including classes, trips, and events including the swimming competition, just because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Saito questions the meaning of all this hard work just to end up in that situation. Mizuho shyly confesses that she enjoyed watching Saito having fun swimming and had planned to confess her feelings at the final meet but now apologizes for her feelings. She then says that despite what her feelings are, Saito should swim for his own sake, and Mizuho wants to see him enjoying what he loves doing. Saito coldly rejects her words, saying Mizuho is an outsider and would not understand what he feels about swimming. He rides the bus, leaving Mizuho to reflect on the end of her unrequited, one-sided love. She then calls that day her worst birthday ever. The scene shifts to Kizuki, who is still practicing swimming late at night despite the uncertainty of upcoming competitions. Saito then shows up and questions how Kizuki can stay so determined despite the uncertain situation. Kizuki explains that he made a promise to himself to improve and confess his feelings to a special girl if he reaches the national finals. Feeling impressed and moved by Kizuki's determination, Saito decides to start practicing again as well. Saito then tells Kizuki that Mizuho had asked him to swim for his own sake and that she wanted to see him swim. Kizuki, surprised, clarifies that Mizuho was more than just a childhood friend to him. He sees her as a woman and asks Saito not to make a move on her, showing how protective he is of her. Mizuho returns home feeling down, but her friends surprise her with a birthday party and congratulate her for turning 17. Overcome with emotion from their kindness, she begins to cry. Her friends tease her a bit, but Mizuho thanks them, explaining that her tears are from happiness. Eru takes a photo of her crying and tells them that since there is no fireworks festival this year because it was canceled, they should capture the moment with pictures. As Mizuho prepares to make a wish before blowing out the candles, Kizuki asks her if she had been crying earlier before she got home. He says that he notices it even though she's wearing glasses. Kizuki then blows out the candles and says sincerely that he wishes he could be Mizuho's boyfriend. During their meal, Shubo teasingly asks Mizuho what she was doing alone with Kizuki a while ago. Mizuho is taken aback and Eru joins the teasing, saying that Kizuki was probably proposing to get married to Mizuho, referencing Shubo's past behavior of asking Mizuho to marry him when they were in elementary school, to which Shubo humorously admits it was just a childish phase before he knew that there were other girls in the world aside from Mizuho. Shubo then playfully hits Eru, and they joke around while Shin asks them to eat quietly. Later, Shin notices Mizuho has cream on her face and is about to wipe it, but Kizuki steps in and gently wipes it off, calling her childish, to which Mizuho responds with a playful remark. But Shin looks surprised and caught off guard by Kizuki's actions. The next day, Mizuho's friends are surprised when they see Mizuho wearing contact lenses instead of her usual glasses, prompting teasing remarks from the boys. Eru comments that the contacts look better than her nerdy glasses, which annoys Mizuho. Shin can't stop looking at Mizuho, and when he realizes his action, he jokingly calls her stupid no matter what she does, causing everyone to laugh. Kizuki unexpectedly compliments Mizuho, saying she looks really cute, leaving the group surprised. At school, Mizuho is frustrated by Kizuki's comment, thinking he's just mocking her and drawing the conclusion that he's just trying to cheer her up because of her crying on her birthday. Later, Kizuki suddenly holds her hand and helps her erase the part of the board she can't reach and casually invites her to grab lunch after, which adds to her confusion about Kizuki's intentions toward her. At the cafeteria, Kizuki is getting attention from everyone because of feeding Eru broccoli even though he doesn't like it himself, and Shin jokingly teases him for doing so. Meanwhile, Mizuho is sitting behind them having lunch with her friend Chika, when Chika asks why she isn't with her usual group. Mizuho explains she wants to spend time with her. However, another girl approaches Mizuho to ask her to deliver a gift to Kizuki. Mizuho is confused and questions why the girl doesn't give it to him herself. The girl shyly admits she gets nervous around Kizuki, which makes Mizuho reflect on why Kizuki seems so popular despite his past, where he was known to be sickly and often missed school due to asthma. Mizuho thinks about Kizuki in a different light, recalling how he was dumb and always a crybaby when they were younger. Mizuho used to share her manga works with Kizuki, who excitedly read them and praised her, calling her a genius and saying that Mizuho would be a manga artist when they grew up. Going back to the story, Mizuho tried showing it to a manga editor, who critiqued it and called it average, suggesting she try writing a school romance based on her own experiences. However, Mizuho hesitated, saying that she lacked the personal experience to do so and believed her life wasn't as exciting as it may seem. After talking to the editor, Eru excitedly showed Mizuho some makeup given to her by the editors and said that he'd give one to her. Having drinks in a cafe, Mizuho then told Eru what happened, and Eru encouraged her to try drawing something new and take her mind off things. Mizuho wondered if people really experience thrilling moments every day, as her only dream was to watch fireworks with her crush, but it was cancelled due to the pandemic. She then remembered the gift which was meant for Kizuki, and Eru asked her if she wasn't bothered at all by the girls flocking to Kizuki. Mizuho then answered why she would feel like that when he was the youngest in their group. Eru then told her that it was completely okay for her to deliver the gift to Kizuki. Mizuho then went to Kizuki to deliver the gift, who was still in the pool practicing swimming. Kizuki was so happy when Mizuho gave the gift, thinking that it was Mizuho who made it. She then explained, telling him that it was from the girls in their class and she was just asked to deliver it. Kizuki was disappointed and asked Mizuho to give the gift back, leaving Mizuho confused and hurt as she had made an effort to go there. As Kizuki left, Mizuho stopped him and Kizuki questioned whether it bothered her or not if he accepted the gift from other girls. She answered straightforwardly that it didn't bother her at all, and then she was about to go home when Kizuki grabbed her hand. Kizuki told her not to leave him yet, just like how he used to when they were younger. Mizuho reflected on how Kizuki was clearly younger and weaker than her. Mizuho grabbed back her hand, telling Kizuki it hurt. Kizuki persisted, and Mizuho was pushed back to the wall and ended up turning on one of the showers. Kizuki leaned in closer to the wall to cover Mizuho from getting wet and hurtfully asked Mizuho if she had ever seen him as a man. Under her breath, Mizuho straightforwardly answered no. Kizuki then reached for her ears, saying he was confident he could change her thoughts and make sure that she would fall for him. Kizuki then grabbed Mizuho's cheeks and kissed her under the shower. Back to the present, adult Mizuho is working as a manga editor. At her office, she talks with Kawaguchi, a young manga artist. Feeling defeated, Kawaguchi reveals that her manga has been cancelled. She wonders if she should give up on being a manga artist entirely. Mizuho, feeling responsible as her editor, reassures her that they can try again. Offering a new theme for her next story, She suggests ideas about youth and love. Kawaguchi, still discouraged, expresses her doubts, saying she lacks personal experience with such sparkling themes. Trying to encourage her, Mizuho reminds her that she's still young and likely living an exciting life full of inspiration. This conversation stirs up a memory for Mizuho. She recalls a similar moment from her own past, where she sat with her editor in the same scenario as Kawaguchi, disheartened after her manga was canceled. Back then, her editor also advised her to write about youth and love, and Mizuho answered the same way as Kawaguchi. She said that she lacks the experience for that theme, without knowing that those moments are so colorful, and she will miss them as an adult. Reflecting on this, Mizuho realizes how much she sees herself in Kawaguchi, recognizing the cycle of guidance and growth in her work as an editor. The scene shifts to the past and high school classroom, where Kazuki chats with a classmate. The classmate complains about failing a recent quiz and turns to Kazuki to ask how he did. Casually admitting he also performed poorly, Kazuki jokes that only Shin, the group's bookworm, can manage surprise quizzes. The classmate laughs in agreement. Meanwhile, Mizuho watches this interaction from the classroom window, lost in thought. Her mind drifts to a memory of Kazuki. She recalls their last awkward encounter in the shower room, where Kazuki confidently told her she would eventually fall in love with him. Caught off guard back then, Mizuho questioned his bold claim. To her surprise, Kazuki kissed her, leaving her stunned and reflective about their relationship. Because of this encounter and their childhood friendship, Mizuho feels awkward around Kazuki and tries to avoid him. When he notices her watching, she quickly walks away. Later, near the classroom door, Mizuho stands in the way as Shin passes by. Bluntly, Shin tells her to move and stares at her for a few seconds before walking off. A friend of Mizuho's remarks on Shin's rudeness, and Mizuho agrees. However, the friend adds that despite his rudeness, Shin has a cool attitude, surprising Mizuho. Another friend comments that Shin looks scary, but the first friend insists that despite his intimidating appearance, Shin is actually quite good-looking. Feeling confused, Mizuho wonders what's going on with Shin. The scene shifts again, this time to the Highlander friends in Mizuho's room. Eru listens to music on his headphones, Shugo reads manga, and Shin helps Mizuho with her homework. Feeling overwhelmed by the difficulty of the work, Mizuho reflects on how hard it is. Shin leans close to her face, holding it briefly as he examines her. Pausing for a moment, he jokingly points out the wrinkles on her forehead, teasing her about how serious she looks. This leads to a brief exchange where Mizuho snaps at him, calling out his rude behavior from earlier at school. She mentions how Shin is known for his good looks but also for his bad reputation due to his attitude. Shin, unbothered, explains that the reason he acts rude is that he feels embarrassed for people to think he's close to Mizuho, who struggles academically and has to retake a test. Calling her a fool, he suggests they meet at the library the next day to review her studies. Mizuho, irritated by his attitude, finds him annoying. Just as their faces get too close during the conversation, Kazuki enters the room, placing a juice bottle between them. Offering the drink to Shin, Kazuki shifts the conversation. Mizuho, trying to avoid further interaction with Kazuki, asks Shin for help with her homework. Kazuki, however, jokingly remarks on how they still aren't done studying. Annoyed, Mizuho tells Kazuki to find something else to do, even suggesting he fold the laundry in the living room. Kazuki leaves and Shugo laughs at his misfortune. Suddenly realizing something, Mizuho rushes after Kazuki, which surprises everyone. Unexpectedly, Mizuho finds Kazuki in the living room folding her clothes. Embarrassed, she sees him holding one of her underwear and demands he return it. As she approaches him, she trips, and they both fall onto the sofa, ending up in an unexpectedly intimate position. Noticing her discomfort, Kazuki tells her that he can't take it anymore and that she's becoming too casual around him. He insists that if she doesn't start seeing him as more than just a friend, it will upset him. Feeling awkward, Mizuho asks for some space, unable to handle the tension. Kazuki agrees and leaves the room, leaving Mizuho in a daze as she processes the sudden shift in their relationship. The scene moves to a gym where Kazuki is working out. Looking up at the sky, he wonders if the clouds signal a storm. Shin approaches, teasing him about going through a typical adolescent phase. Before walking away, Kazuki, curious, asks why Shin isn't at the library with Mizuho. Shin explains that a student council meeting ran late, but that he's on his way to meet her. Meanwhile, Mizuho studies alone in the library, growing frustrated with Shin's delay. She receives a message from him explaining that the heavy rain forced him to leave early and head home. Nervous about the storm, Mizuho decides to pack up and leave. As she runs through the downpour, memories of a painful childhood moment resurface, her father leaving her during a storm and trusting her to Kazuki and his mom. Overcome with emotion, Mizuho struggles to keep herself together as the memories flood back. The story shifts to the present, where Shin is still searching for Mizuho in the library. The narrative transitions to a flashback of a younger Kazuki reassuring Mizuho, telling her everything will be okay. In her mind, Mizuho wishes for her mother's well-being. Back in the present, Mizuho, frightened by the storm and thunder, hides under a bicycle stand, feeling lost and calling for help. Meanwhile, Shin continues searching for her, unaware of her location as the storm grows fiercer. Mizuho, shouting for help, is found by Kizuki, who wraps her in a comforting hug. Reassuring her that everything is okay now, he softly tells her he's there for her. Overwhelmed, Mizuho calls his name, tears falling as Kizuki offers the comfort she desperately needs. After the storm clears, Kizuki carries Mizuho on his back, checking if she feels better. Mizuho, in a lighthearted tone, jokes that it's a low point for her to be cared for by someone like him. Teasingly, Kizuki apologizes, asking if she would have preferred someone else like Shin. Mizuho admits her fear of thunderstorms, linking it to a painful memory of losing her mother. Kizuki, understanding her fear because he has been with her since the beginning, acknowledges her emotions without saying much or any judgment. Expressing her gratitude, Mizuho tells Kizuki that she appreciates him and prefers him over Shin, thanking him for always being there for her since childhood. They share a quiet moment watching a rainbow appear in the sky. Lost in the beauty of the moment, Mizuho blushes as she looks at Kizuki. Noticing her reaction, Kizuki gets close to her as if he's about to kiss her, and jokingly asks if she has developed feelings for him. Flustered, Mizuho quickly covers his lips and denies it, embarrassed by his teasing. The scene shifts to a hot summer day at the beach, where Eru admires the blue sea and Shin mentions the pleasant breeze. They joke about being in Hawaii, but Shugo interrupts, pointing out that they're actually at a beach in Japan, not Hawaii. Slightly frustrated, Mizuho asks them to focus, but Eru playfully reminds everyone that they're having a pretend school trip since their original trip was canceled due to the pandemic. Mizuho comments that their real trip was supposed to be to Hokkaido, not Hawaii, and notices the others are fixated on a video of a Hawaiian beach. Shugo, who prefers Hokkaido, mentions he was looking forward to trying the local food, especially grilled lamb. Eru suggests they go get some lamb, but their plans are interrupted when Kizuki accidentally splashes water on them. After some confusion and playful teasing, a water fight breaks out with everyone laughing and enjoying the moment. Soaked from the water fight, Mizuho complains while Eru looks on with a surprised expression, as though realizing something important. That night, the group gathers in a small tent. Shin questions if they're allowed to be there, but Mizuho reassures him, explaining that Kizuki got permission from the neighbors and gave them treats in return. Meanwhile, Kizuki focuses on building muscle with dumbbells. Noticing his dedication, Eru suggests he should relax on his day off, but Kizuki responds that he's training for a personal record at the upcoming regionals. Shugo encourages him and Kizuki turns to Mizuho, asking if she'll cheer for him. Hesitating, Mizuho still agrees. Shin, looking uncomfortable, stays quiet, so Kizuki asks Eru if she'll join in too. After some more exercise, Kizuki declares it's time to sleep. Later, as they settle down for the night, Mizuho complains about the flat blanket, prompting Shin to tease her and Shugo to call her spoiled. Mizuho denies being spoiled, but Shin eventually calls for lights out. Feeling cramped due to the limited space and frustrated, Mizuho is startled when Kizuki unexpectedly moves closer to her. Teasingly, he tells her that she can act spoiled with him since their relationship has already reached that point. After all, they've already kissed. Taken aback by what Kizuki said, Mizuho shouts so loudly that everyone wakes up. When the lights come on, everyone is surprised to see Mizuho holding a pillow against Kizuki's face. While the others look on in shock, Mizuho reflects on the situation. She struggles with her feelings of anxiety about being in a relationship with Kizuki. Worrying about the fragility of their bond as friends, she feels uncertain about the emotional impact it would have if their relationship fell apart, leaving her unsure of how to handle her emotions. She's afraid that if she falls in love with him and their relationship blossom, it may taint the group's friendship that they already have since childhood. The next day, Kizuki practices swimming while other students, especially the girls, cheer him on. Watching from a distance, Mizuho is teased by her friend about possibly having a crush on him. Denying it, Mizuho listens as her friend suggests that she might not realize her feelings because they're so close and have been friends since childhood. That night, Mizuho struggles while working on her manga. Feeling frustrated with her inability to create something good, she worries again about what might happen if she starts to develop feelings for Kizuki. The following day at school, Mizuho's friend urgently informs her that the regional swimming competition has been canceled due to the pandemic. Explaining that many other sports teams are affected as well, her friend leaves Mizuho to process the news. Observing Kizuki, she notices that he is the only one not crying or visibly upset, which deepens her concern. Later in the classroom, Mizuho stays behind at school waiting for Kizuki. When he arrives, he admits that the cancellation of the regionals has been tough, but says it's something they can't change. Frustrated by his nonchalant attitude, Mizuho urges him not to downplay everything, especially his feelings. She tells him that he works so hard, and that she doesn't want him to ignore that. Kazuki, opening up for the first time, shares that he's been bottling up his emotions to appear strong. Crying in a rare moment of vulnerability, he hugs Mizuho and tells her not to say such kind things to him. Feeling conflicted, Mizuho comforts Kazuki and hugs him back. As they embrace, Kazuki assures her that he'll keep working hard and asks her to continue supporting him. Deep down, though, and even if she's comforting Kazuki, Mizuho decides that she can't let herself fall in love with her childhood best friend. Mizuho is talking to her friend Chika about Kawaguchi, and Mizuho realizes she's repeating the advice her old editor once gave her. Reflecting on her conversation with Kawaguchi, Mizuho admits she could have phrased things better but still feels Kawaguchi doesn't fully understand the situation. Chika, more skeptical, laughs at how Mizuho's response mirrors her old self, pointing out that meddling won't make Kawaguchi like her. Still determined to help, Mizuho asks if there's really nothing she can do. Chika suggests that the best course of action is to simply watch over Kawaguchi and wait for her to realize things on her own. Walking home, Mizuho reflects on how Chika had been there for her in a similar way even when Mizuho couldn't understand her own feelings or the hidden struggles around her. The scene shifts back to years ago, with Kazuki determinedly telling Mizuho that he'll continue working hard with his swimming practices and so Mizuho should watch him. Overwhelmed by her emotions, Mizuho thinks she can't fall for him, but before she can process further, she faints from overthinking, and it turns out Mizuho has a high fever. At the grocery store, Shugo and Eru discuss Mizuho's sudden fever. Concerned, Eru remarks how strange it is for Mizuho to get sick after what seemed like a simple moment. Meanwhile, Mizuho lies in bed, battling her high fever. At the store, Eru spots some ice cream he likes, and just then, Kazuki arrives carrying a large pile of groceries. Frustrated, Eru points out that it's too much, but Kazuki silently adds everything to his basket. Puzzled, Eru wonders about Kazuki's choices as Shugo inspects the items, noting how odd they are as gifts for a sick person. Realizing Kazuki is nowhere to be seen, Eru finds him in the fruit section, picking up bananas. Trying to make sense of it, Eru jokingly tells Kazuki to calm down, insisting Mizuho isn't a monkey. As the group leaves the store, they are confronted by Eru's old group of friends, which makes Eru uncomfortable. The friend teases Eru for his more polished appearance and questions if he's behaving well. Shugo urges Eru to ignore them, while Kazuki tells Eru they should leave. Eru thanked Kazuki and Shugo for protecting him, but he said that he was fine. But Eru's old friend continues expressing hurt over being abandoned and accusing Eru of tossing him aside like trash. Responding as cold as ever, and contrary to his usual jolly and loud personality, Eru acknowledges he's doing well and leaves without further discussion, indicating a mysterious rift he has with his old group of friends. Eru's old friends did not budge after that and let them leave. Standing on the bridge, Eru shouted loudly and angrily into the wind, questioning if it was possible to escape one's past. Shugo put his arms on Eru's shoulders and jokingly said he won't be able to escape and it's better for him to give up. But later on, Shugo, recalling Eru's wild middle school days of fighting and skipping classes and how he used to leave them to hang out with those bad guys, reminded him that running away wouldn't solve anything. Kazuki, offering a different view, said he admired both the rebellious Eru from the past and the person he was now, saying he turned out so cool now and back then. Touched with Kazuki's words and overcome with emotion, Eru hugged Kazuki and admitted he liked him too. Shugo, breaking the tension with humor, playfully demanded attention and that Eru should hug him too, lightening the mood. But the two ignored him and said they could share an ice cream on the way home. At home, Mizuho, still recovering from her fever, lies quietly in bed. Shin, harboring unspoken feelings for her, sits nearby watching over her as she sleeps. Observing her peaceful face, he gently places a hand on her forehead, noticing with relief that her fever has gone down. Whispering softly, he tells her not to make them worry so much, his voice filled with a mix of concern and affection. Leaning closer, Shin finds himself captivated by Mizuho's beauty. His gaze lingers on her serene expression, and without realizing it, he begins to lean in as if to kiss her. Caught in the moment, he hesitates, his emotions swirling as he inches closer. Just as he is about to act on his feelings, Mizuho stirs and slightly groans. Startled, Shin quickly pulls back, his face betraying a mix of embarrassment and panic. Standing up abruptly, he avoids her gaze and mumbles a hurried excuse, urging her to get more rest. Without waiting for a response, he leaves the room, and Mizuho, left alone, blinks in confusion, her mind still foggy from sleep and illness. Meanwhile, Shin steps into the hallway, leaning against the wall as he tries to collect himself. Reflecting on his impulsive actions, he questions what he was about to do and why he couldn't control his emotions. The next morning, Mizuho felt much better. Stepping out onto her balcony, she was surprised to see Shin waiting for her below. Smiling at the unexpected gesture, the two later took a walk by the ocean. During their stroll, Mizuho teased Shin about skipping school, her tone playful and light. In response, he surprised her by offering sandwiches from a local shop, which she absolutely liked. Sharing the simple treat, they enjoyed a light-hearted moment together, the sound of the waves providing a soothing backdrop. Hiding his feelings for Mizuho, Shin angrily asked Mizuho why couldn't she eat like a lady, which Mizuho just ignored. Enjoying their meal, Mizo, feeling energized, runs toward the water, urging Shin to join her. Though hesitant due to her recent illness, he eventually follows. Walking along the shore, Shin asks about her fever, prompting Mizuho to admit her confusion about her emotions. Revealing she doesn't think she's suited for romance, she laughs nervously. Shin, teasing her, suggests she should try it for herself, pulling her into a playful hug to demonstrate. Shin told her that if she hugged someone and her heart raced, that's when she would know that she loved that guy. Flustered and embarrassed, Mizuho tells Shin she can't breathe and suddenly pushes him away. Realizing he may have gone too far, Shin stays amused and tells her that it was a joke and she should not believe it, and Mizuho chases him angrily. At home, Shin washes Mizuho's feet to remove the sand from the beach. Shin attentively checks it, telling her not to move. Mizuho insists she's fine, joking that she can't get any cleaner. Just then, Kazuki arrives, surprised to see Shin already there, not knowing that Shin skipped school to be with Mizuho. Kazuki casually asks what they've been doing, but Shin brushes off the question and leaves. Turning to Mizuho, Kazuki checks on her, asking if her fever has subsided. Feeling a flutter in her chest, Mizuho wonders about the connection between her racing heart and Kazuki's presence. She remembers what Shin told him: if someone makes her heart flatter, it means that she loves that person. Lost in thought, she snaps back when Kazuki calls her name, quickly dismissing her distraction and running off in a hurry. Alone in her room, Mizuho reflects more on Shin's words, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Puzzled by her emotions, she wonders what's happening to her feelings. The scene shifts to the group taking a fun photo together on a vacation. Eru, excited, calls it a moment to remember their summer. Mizuho thanks the cameraman as everyone admires the picture. Commenting on how great they look, Mizuho teases Shin about showing him the photo. Shugo laughs at their playful exchange while Eru, talking to Kazuki, proudly boasts about styling Mizuho's outfit. Admitting Mizuho's wardrobe lacked variety, Eru claims credit for her makeup and outfit, beaming with pride. Eru asked Kazuki if Mizuho looked pretty, to which Kazuki silently agreed. Visiting the aquarium, the group enjoys the vibrant marine life. While exploring, Mizuho gets startled as a large fish swims too close, nearly hitting her. Eru, laughing, jokes that the fish must think she's food, leaving Mizuho confused and embarrassed. Admiring the fish, Mizuho's gaze shifts to Kazuki. Watching him quietly, she feels a wave of admiration. Noticing her gaze, Kazuki approaches, teasing her about inviting him and their friends on that trip to cheer him up for his canceled swimming competition. Mizuho quietly admits it, and Kazuki thanks her for her thoughtfulness. As they talk, Kazuki confesses that his heart is racing, surprising Mizuho. He explains it's because she's acting differently today. Flustered, Mizuho silently acknowledges that her own heart feels like it might burst from the unexpected emotions stirring within her. The moment leaves her feeling both excited and confused about her feelings. The scene shifts to Mizuho receiving her food and preparing to leave. Shugo calls out to her, asking if she has plans for the rest of the day. Caught off guard, Mizuho responds with a curious "why?" Shugo comments on the effort she put into her appearance, but Mizuho quickly denies it, brushing off his observation. Just then, the food counter announces Shugo's order. After collecting his food, he teases Mizuho about her expression, hinting that she might be hiding a secret. Shugo then later asked if she still didn't understand her own feelings, and if she was still so scared to know about her emotions. Shugo's insight surprises Mizuho, who asks how he knows so much about her. With a knowing smile, Shugo taps Mizuho's forehead and reveals that he's been paying attention to her since the beginning of their friendship. His words leave Mizuho stunned, realizing how perceptive he is about her emotions. Later, Eru suggests the group see a dolphin show and maybe catch a movie afterward. Turning to Kazuki, Shin asks him to choose, catching him off guard, but Eru reassures him that he can pick as he is their boss today. Kazuki hesitates, distracted by the sight of Mizuho and Shugo nearby. The brief interaction between them creates a moment of tension, leaving Kazuki thoughtful as he considers his next move. Attending the dolphin show, the group finds themselves splashed by water, leaving Eru joking about who decided that the front-seating arrangements would be ideal and Shin grumbling over being soaked. Shugo playfully teases Shin, lightening the mood. The moment takes a caring turn when Kazuki shields Mizuho from another splash. Mizuho, smiling, reassures him, telling him not to worry about her. Kazuki, looking thoughtful, then asks if she'd like to go somewhere alone with him after the show. This question triggers a memory of Shin's earlier words to Mizuho about understanding her feelings, leaving her deep in thought. After the show, the group heads to the station. Eru, brimming with excitement, eagerly asks Kazuki if he enjoyed himself. Shin, still annoyed about being too close to the front, grumbles about the seating for next time. Eru, unbothered by the complaints, happily talks about the great shots he captured during the show. As they walk, Shugo suddenly spots someone he recognizes, momentarily losing focus. He spots a middle-aged woman talking to a guy on the other side of the station. Mizuho notices and asks if something is wrong. Shugo brushes off her concern, admitting with a small smile that he's not so different from her after all. During the metro ride home, Eru enthusiastically offers to show everyone a video of the dolphins jumping. Shugo, now preoccupied with his readings, declines while Eru teases Shin about his interest in the video. Shin responds casually, keeping the conversation light as the station announcement signals their next stop. As the train becomes more crowded, Kazuki leans closer to Mizuho and quietly asks if she heard him earlier. Without waiting for a response, he gently takes her hand, pulling her toward the door. Suggesting they go somewhere just the two of them, Kazuki's warmth catches Mizuho off guard. Hesitating, she feels conflicted, but soon realizes that it's Kazuki's presence making her heart race. At that moment, she acknowledges her readiness to confront her feelings. Together, they step off the train, leaving the others behind as Mizuho takes a step toward clarity in her emotions.